train your mind to speak English. Automatically take a deep breath. Let your shoulders relax. Let your mind settle for a moment. Today, you're not just learning English, you're training your brain. You're reprogramming how your mind reacts to the language you've been trying to speak for years. You're unlocking a part of yourself that has always been there, quiet, hidden, waiting. You're not here to memorize more rules. You're here to activate something deeper, something instinctive, something automatic, something powerful. And that power already lives inside your brain. You just haven't trained it yet. But today that begins to change. Today your brain learns something new about itself, something that will change the way you speak, think, and express your ideas in English. You are not just a student right now. You are the trainer. You are the builder. You are the programmer of your own mind. The hesitation you feel can be replaced with flow. The doubt you carry can be replaced with confidence, and the fear of speaking can be replaced with instinct. Your brain is ready. You only have to step forward and start. English isn't just a language. It's a system of patterns, a rhythm, a mental pathway. And the reason most learners struggle isn't because they're not smart enough. It's because no one taught them how the brain actually learns to speak. Most people study vocabulary, but they never train retrieval. They practice grammar, but they never practice automatic thinking. They listen, but they don't condition their brain to respond. That's why English feels slow in your mind. That's why you translate. That's why you hesitate. And that's exactly what we will change. Your mind learns languages through repetition, emotion, and connection, not through pressure, not through fear, not through overthinking. The brain grows when it feels safe, when it feels engaged, and when it connects new information with old memories. This means you don't need to speak perfectly to improve. You need to speak consistently. You need to give your brain the signals of usage, not just the data of the language. When you hear English, your brain receives input. But when you speak English, your brain transforms. Your speaking brain wakes up. Your voice activates areas of the mind that remain silent during passive learning. This is why speaking automatically is not a talent. It's a trained reaction. Imagine your brain as a city. Every sentence you speak is a car. Every word is a road. If you rarely speak, your roads are narrow, dusty, closed. When you practice every day, even for a few minutes, you widen these roads. You smooth them out. You turn a thin path into a highway. And eventually, English doesn't feel foreign. It feels natural, automatic, familiar. This is what we mean when we say your brain can be trained. Let's be honest. You already know lots of words. You already know basic grammar. You already understand English when you hear it. So why can't you speak as well as you want? Because your brain hasn't automated the process. It hasn't built the fast pathway between thought and speech. That pathway is built through speaking, not studying. Through repetition, not perfection. Through courage, not fear. Right now, your brain still tries to protect you from making mistakes. It slows down your speech. It checks grammar before allowing your mouth to move. But this protective system was created by past experiences, maybe embarrassment, judgment, or the fear of being wrong. Today, we begin breaking that system. Today, you'll start teaching your brain that speaking English is not dangerous. It's not a test. It's not a performance. It's simply communication. And communication doesn't need perfection. Communication needs clarity, rhythm, and courage. English becomes automatic only when you stop waiting for permission, when you stop translating every sentence, when you stop fearing mistakes, when you trust your voice enough to let it lead. Your brain won't activate automatic English until you train it to respond instantly. Just like driving, swimming, riding a bike, or playing a sport, fluency is muscle memory, mental muscle memory. And once your mind develops this habit, English becomes something you live, not something you study. Think of the last time you tried to speak English and felt stuck. Your mind knew the words, but your tongue froze. You felt pressure and your brain shut down. Not because you didn't know English, but because your speaking system wasn't trained. Today, we replace that fear with a new pattern, a speaking pattern, a bravery pattern, a fluency pattern. You will practice as if your brain is learning a new movement. You will train your mind to respond faster. You will build a habit of speaking that bypasses hesitation. As you continue this journey, you will feel something important. Speaking becoming easier, thinking becoming faster, hesitation becoming weaker, your English no longer sitting inside your mind like heavy stones, but flowing freely, naturally, automatically. This is the power of mental training. This is the science of fluency. And this is the foundation of everything we will build in the next segments. You are here because you want English to feel natural. You want speaking to feel effortless. You want your mind to stop translating and start responding. And I promise you this, your brain can do it. Your brain is built for languages. Your mind is designed for fluency. You only need the right training, the right mindset, the right rhythm, and the right guidance. From this moment forward, treat English not as a school subject, but as a skill, a voice skill, a thinking skill, a response skill. And every day you will sharpen that skill. Speaking will no longer be something you fear. It will be something you do, something automatic, something instinctive, something you own. This is your starting line. Your brain is ready. Your voice is ready. Let's move forward. Segment 2. Train your mind through daily activation. Your mind is a machine of patterns, and English will only become automatic when those patterns fire consistently. That is the truth most learners never hear. You can memorize 1,000 words, you can watch hours of videos, you can fill notebooks with rules, but if your brain does not receive daily activation, nothing becomes automatic. Fluency lives inside repetition, and repetition lives inside your everyday actions. In this segment, you will understand how daily mind activation rewires your brain for fluent English, and why the difference between slow English and fast English is not talent, it is training. The brain you have today is not the same brain you had last year. Every day your neural pathways change. Every day your habits shape your identity. Every day your thoughts become your reactions. And this is where English fluency becomes powerful. The more your brain hears, forms, and produces English, the faster it becomes at retrieving it. Automatic English begins with one simple rule. Expose your brain to the language in small, consistent moments. Your mind does not change in big jumps. It changes in tiny, repeated steps that accumulate into transformation. Most learners imagine fluency as a sudden breakthrough. One day you wake up and everything becomes clear. But the truth is more scientific and more encouraging. Fluency grows gradually, invisibly, silently, beneath your awareness. You may not feel it happening each day, but your brain does. Every time you speak a sentence, your mental pathways strengthen. Every time you think in English, your brain becomes more comfortable with the language. Every time you shadow a phrase, your mind refines its rhythm and intonation. Automatic English is built through thousands of micro signals, micro moments, and micro practices. Think of your brain as soil. If you water it once a month, nothing grows. If you water it every day, even lightly, life appears. This is the science of neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to change itself. When you use English daily, you are watering the soil. You are giving your brain the signals it needs to grow fluent pathways. And the remarkable thing is this: 5 minutes of active training is often more effective than 1 hour of passive learning, because the brain values frequency more than intensity. Your mind adapts to whatever it sees the most. If you watch English today and watch English tomorrow, your brain treats English as part of your environment. If you speak English today and speak English tomorrow, your brain treats English as part of your identity. And identity is what creates automatic responses. You do not think before saying your name. You do not think before describing your age. You do not think before expressing basic feelings in your native language. This is what English can become: effortless, immediate, instinctive. But you must train the mind in a specific way. You must create daily activation habits, not random practice. The brain loves rituals. It loves predictable patterns. When you create a daily English ritual, your mind becomes conditioned to switch into English mode automatically. This is the same mechanism behind athletes warming up, musicians practicing scales, or dancers repeating movements. It is not about learning something new every day. It is about reinforcing the same pathways until they become second nature. Your daily activation does not need to be dramatic. It only needs to be consistent. Imagine this. Every morning you speak one simple sentence in English. Today I will practice my fluency. That's it. Your brain receives a signal. The English system is active. Then later you shadow 30 seconds of a video. Your brain receives another signal. The speaking system is engaged. Before bed, you talk to yourself for 1 minute about your day. Your brain receives a final signal. The English thinking pathway is being reinforced. 3 micro activations. 1 powerful result. That's how fluency grows. The reason most learners fail is not because they lack knowledge, but because they overload their mind in short bursts and then do nothing for days. The brain forgets quickly. It resets silently. It loses the rhythm. And without rhythm, language becomes slow again. That is why daily activation is the most powerful weapon you have. It protects your progress. It builds fluency momentum. It keeps your mind warmed up. There is another advantage: emotional familiarity. When you practice English daily, your brain stops treating English as a threat. It becomes emotionally neutral, even emotionally positive. Fear dissolves, hesitation weakens. Your brain begins to trust itself. And trust is one of the biggest ingredients in automatic fluency. When your mind trusts your voice becomes free. Imagine walking into a room where everyone speaks English. If you've practiced daily, your mind already feels prepared. It already feels activated. It already feels connected to the language. Instead of freezing, your brain opens. Instead of translating, your brain responds. Instead of fearing mistakes, your brain focuses on communication. This is why daily activation is not just about learning, it's about building a new emotional relationship with the language. You might ask, what should I practice daily? The answer is simple. Practice what your brain can digest easily and repeat comfortably. That means short sentences, natural expressions, real life English. The kind of English your brain can use immediately. When you activate your mind with natural language, you train your brain to think in English naturally. Your daily activation can include anything: repeating three powerful sentences, shadowing a short phrase, describing something around you, narrating your actions, speaking your thoughts out loud, or listening to a voice clip and copying the rhythm. What matters is not the content. What matters is the consistency. Your brain will take whatever you give it. If you speak 3 sentences a day, you become better at speaking. If you think in English for 1 minute a day, you become better at thinking. If you shadow for 30 seconds a day, you become better at rhythm. If you activate the brain every day, the brain automatically adapts. Your goal is not perfection, your goal is activation. Automatic English is built like a heartbeat, it must repeat to stay alive. In this segment, remind yourself why you want fluency: to connect, to express, to grow, to open doors. These reasons must fuel your daily practice. Because when your why is strong, your habits stay strong. When your habits stay strong, your brain stays active. And when your brain stays active, fluency becomes automatic. You are not training English, you are training your brain. You are not memorizing words, you are building pathways. You are not forcing fluency, you are awakening it. Every day you activate your mind, you step closer to speaking without fear. Every day you repeat, your brain learns to respond faster. Every day you practice, your voice becomes more natural. This is the slow magic of daily activation, the quiet transformation, the invisible progress, and soon it will become the loud breakthrough you've been waiting for. Your brain is ready, your voice is ready, and your daily activation begins now. Segment 3. Activate your speaking pathways. Through daily use, your brain learns to speak a language through action, not theory. Every sentence you speak creates a pathway. Every repeated sentence strengthens it. Every moment of hesitation weakens it. This is why speaking practice, even in small amounts, is more powerful than hours of listening alone. Your mind becomes fluent through sound, through repetition, through movement, through rhythm. Speaking is a physical act, and your brain must be trained to perform that act quickly, smoothly, naturally. The more you speak, the more easily your brain retrieves words. The more you use your voice, the more your mind trusts it. That trust is what breaks fear. That trust is what builds fluency. That trust is what transforms English from a foreign system into a familiar reaction. Most learners wait for the right moment to speak. They wait for a teacher, a partner, a conversation. But the truth is, your best speaking partner is your own voice. Your most important practice session is the one you do alone. Your greatest transformation happens in the moments no one sees. This is where your fluency grows. This is where your brain learns to respond without overthinking. You do not need perfect conditions to speak. You need the courage to activate your voice even when you are by yourself. Speaking alone is not a weakness. It is a strategy. It is a skill. It is brain training in its purest form. Think of your brain as a muscle. When you speak, you lift the weight. When you stay silent, the muscle shrinks. When you hesitate, the muscle loses strength. When you practice daily, the muscle becomes powerful enough to move without thinking. That is the meaning of automatic speaking. It is the result of consistent repetition. It is the result of showing up. It is the result of speaking even when it feels uncomfortable. The brain adapts to the challenges you give it, and when you challenge it with daily speaking practice, it learns that English is a necessary reaction, not an optional one. The biggest mistake learners make is believing they must wait for real conversations. The truth is that real conversations come only after you train your mind alone. Before you step onto a stage, you rehearse backstage. Before you speak to people, you speak to yourself. Before your brain becomes ready to respond instantly in real situations, it must become comfortable producing English privately. Your private practice is the foundation of your public confidence. Every sentence you speak alone becomes preparation. Every repetition becomes strength. Every mistake becomes training. What does speaking practice look like? It begins with simple exercises. You narrate your actions. I am making tea. You describe your thoughts. I feel tired, but I will practice anyway. You talk about your goals. I want to be fluent. You repeat sentences you hear in videos. You shadow the rhythm of native speakers. You imitate tone, emotion, pacing. You speak for 30 seconds, then a minute, then 2 minutes. Your voice becomes familiar. Your brain becomes comfortable. Your mind stops freezing. This is how fluency begins. The brain responds instantly to patterns. When you speak daily, your brain creates a pattern of expression. It learns the shape of English sentences. It learns the flow of English rhythm. It learns the timing of speech. These patterns become your automatic system. Your brain begins to predict the next word. It begins to feel the language instead of calculating it. This shift from calculation to feeling is the core of automatic speaking. It is the moment when English stops being something you study and becomes something you do. Your daily speaking activation does not have to be perfect. It does not have to be long, it only has to be consistent. 5 minutes of speaking today is better than 1 hour of silence tomorrow. 30 seconds of practice is better than waiting for confidence. Your brain transforms through frequent signals, not rare effort. Speak about your morning routine. Speak about something you learned. Speak about a video you watched. Speak about your goals. Speak about your problems. Speak about anything, because the goal is not content. The goal is activation. When you speak daily, something subtle begins to happen. Your mind becomes faster. Your thoughts no longer feel heavy. Sentences form with less effort. Your mouth responds before you consciously think. This is the beginning of automatic fluency. You feel English flowing instead of resisting. You feel your voice connecting with your brain. You feel the language becoming a part of your mental rhythm, and that rhythm is the foundation of speaking confidently in real conversations. Many learners fear speaking because they fear mistakes. But mistakes are not signs of failure, they are signs of training. Every mistake tells your brain, this path needs more practice. And with practice, the path becomes smoother. Mistakes are the bridge between trying and becoming. When you avoid speaking, you avoid improvement. When you speak imperfectly, you grow perfectly. Fluency is not created by flawless practice. It is created by repeated practice. Your voice carries emotional weight. The more positively you connect with English, the easier it becomes for your brain to activate the language. Speak with emotion, speak with energy, speak with meaning. When you use your voice with intention, your brain stores language deeper. When you speak with feeling, your mind remembers rhythm more strongly. When you bring emotion into your practice, English stops feeling mechanical and becomes alive. Your goal is not to sound like a textbook. Your goal is to sound like yourself. Your mind must hear your own voice in English every day. Shadowing is one of the most powerful techniques for automatic speaking. When you shadow, you listen to a sentence and repeat it, immediately copying tone, speed, stress, and rhythm. Your brain learns the melody of English, the music of speech. Shadowing builds instinct. It builds muscle memory in your brain and your mouth. It creates automatic patterns. When you shadow daily, your brain begins to produce English with the rhythm you absorb. You become more natural, more fluent, more confident. Talking to yourself is another powerful technique. You become your own conversation partner. You ask yourself questions, you answer them, you express your thoughts, you explain your ideas. This trains your brain to respond without external pressure. It creates self-reliance. And when you rely on yourself, your fluency becomes unstoppable. Speaking out loud sharpens memory. It strengthens mental clarity. It builds connection between thought and voice. Inside your brain, speaking activates areas that listening alone does not. It activates motor pathways, auditory pathways, emotional pathways, and cognitive pathways simultaneously. This is why speaking creates transformation faster than any other method. Your brain becomes alive when you use your voice. Every day you must remind yourself, fluency begins with courage. Courage to speak, courage to sound imperfect, courage to train your brain. Speaking is not the final step of learning, it is the first step of transformation. The more your voice moves, the more your brain adapts. The more your brain adapts, the more automatic English becomes. And soon, speaking will not feel like a challenge, it will feel like a natural part of your daily life. Your speaking pathways are ready to be activated. Your voice is ready to be used, and your mind is ready to grow. Automatic English begins with the sentences you practice today, and every time you speak, your brain listens. Every time you repeat, your brain strengthens. Every time you show up, your brain transforms. This is your path to fluency, and it starts with your voice. Segment 4. Train your brain to think in English. Automatically, your brain is the true engine of fluency. Your mouth only expresses what your mind creates. If your mind thinks in your native language, English will always feel slow. If your thoughts appear in one language and must be translated into another, hesitation will always appear. The goal of automatic English is simple. Remove translation from the process. Let English appear directly in the mind, without passing through another language first. This is the shift that separates learners from speakers. It is not about sounding native. It is about thinking clearly. It is about responding naturally. It is about freeing your brain from the heavy chains of translation. Most people think in their native language and try to convert sentences. That process is too slow. The brain cannot translate quickly enough in real conversations. That is why you freeze. That is why your mind goes blank. That is why simple sentences feel heavy. It is not your intelligence. It is not your ability. It is the system your brain is using. And today, you begin changing that system. You begin teaching your mind to think directly in English. Not perfectly, not beautifully, but naturally. The mind does not need perfect grammar to think in English. It needs speed, it needs familiarity, it needs exposure, and most importantly, it needs permission. The reason your mind doesn't think in English is not because it is impossible. It is because you do not allow it. You silence English thoughts before they form. You correct yourself before the idea appears. You doubt your vocabulary before you even try. The mind learns from freedom, not fear. So the first step to thinking in English is permission. Permission to form imperfect thoughts. Permission to use simple sentences. Permission to think like a beginner until you become advanced. No one thinks like a professor when learning a new language. They think like a child first. You must give your brain the space to grow. Thinking in English begins with simple exercises. You describe what you see around you. You label your environment. You narrate your actions silently. You ask yourself small questions in English. You answer them without pressure. You allow your mind to access the English pathway. This is not speaking. This is silent activation. The thoughts inside your brain create microsignals that strengthen fluency. Even if no word comes out of your mouth, your mind is practicing. Thinking is training. Silent practice is not weakness, it is mental conditioning. Your brain must be exposed to English throughout the day, not only when you study. This constant exposure creates mental familiarity. The mind learns patterns unconsciously. It notices how sentences form. It absorbs rhythm. It recognizes structures. You do not have to memorize everything. Your brain will learn naturally if you give it daily contact with the language. This is why immersion works, but you do not need to live abroad to immerse your mind. You can create immersion inside your own thoughts. You can design an English environment inside your brain. When you wake up, the first thought you form can be in English. It might be a simple thought. I feel tired. I need water. Today will be productive. These small thoughts create enormous impact over time. The brain learns from the first signal of the day, and the last thought before sleeping can also be in English. I practiced today. I improved. I'm learning slowly, but I am learning. These thoughts reinforce your fluency identity. The mind becomes what it repeatedly hears from itself. Identity plays a huge role in thinking. If you think of yourself as an English learner, your brain will hesitate. Learners wait, learners doubt, learners fear mistakes. But if you redefine your identity as an English user, your brain behaves differently. Users speak, users think, users act. The shift from learner to user is small in words but massive in psychology. Your brain does not need you to be perfect. It needs you to accept your identity as someone who uses English daily. This mental shift activates the English thinking pathway. Thinking in English also requires emotional connection. If English stays only in textbooks, your mind will never fully embrace it. You must connect English with your life, your dreams, your goals, your struggles, your emotions. When English becomes a part of your inner world, your brain begins treating it as a natural language. Think about your ambitions in English. Think about your future. Think about your worries. Think about your family. Think about your desires. Let English enter your emotional space. That is where true fluency begins. Your brain builds speed through repetition. The more frequently you think in English, the less effort it requires. At first, it will feel awkward, slow, uncomfortable. You will feel limited in vocabulary, but discomfort is not a signal to stop. It is a signal that your brain is learning. When thoughts feel slow, That means new pathways are forming. Keep going. Do not switch to your native language. Force your brain gently, not aggressively. Let the thoughts form slowly. Let the mind get used to the new pattern. Fluency is built not through force, but through patience. Here is something most learners never hear. Your brain already knows how to think in English. It simply hasn't been trained to do it regularly. Every time you listen to English, your mind forms micro thoughts in English. Every time you repeat or shadow, your brain processes the language internally. Every time you translate, your brain attempts to switch systems. You are much closer to thinking in English than you realize. You just need consistency. You need gentle daily pressure. You need to show your brain that English is not temporary, it is permanent. A powerful technique for thinking in English is called thought switching. In this method, you take a simple idea and practice thinking about it in English for 30 seconds. For example, what did I do today? You reflect on your morning, but you reflect in English. The sentences will be simple at first. I woke up, I ate breakfast, I worked. That is enough. Then slowly your brain will begin adding more detail. I woke up feeling tired, but I wanted to learn. I ate breakfast quickly because I had many tasks. The thoughts expand. The speed increases. English becomes natural inside your head. Another technique is narrate your reality. As you walk, think, I am walking. As you cook, think, I am cutting vegetables. As you travel, think, I am going to work. This simple narration activates the English thinking pathway connected to actions. Over time, your mind stops translating automatically. It begins to choose English without your permission. That is the goal. When the mind begins thinking in English without effort, fluency becomes inevitable. Your inner voice is the most powerful tool in language learning. If that inner voice becomes English, your fluency accelerates dramatically. English becomes a natural part of your mental environment. You no longer study English. You live inside it. You think in it. You move through it. You express yourself with it. This transformation does not happen overnight, but it begins the moment you allow your mind to try. Your brain is flexible, it is willing, it is capable. It can think in English automatically, but you must give it the chance. You must practice daily. You must think consciously in English until your mind begins to think unconsciously in English. This is the true meaning of automatic fluency. Not perfect grammar, not native accent, but mental speed, mental clarity, mental confidence. Your thoughts shape your language shapes your identity, and your identity shapes your future. Thinking in English is not just a technique, it is a doorway to a new version of yourself, a version that speaks freely, a version that reacts instantly, a version that expresses ideas without fear. Train your mind gently, daily, consistently. And soon, English will not just be a language you use, it will be a language you think in. Segment 5. Train your listening and shadowing. System for automatic fluency. Listening is the silent foundation of speaking. Before your mouth can express English naturally, your brain must hear English in its natural rhythm, tone, and flow. Listening is not just a passive activity, it is brain conditioning. Every sound you hear becomes a blueprint inside your mind. Every sentence becomes a pattern, every rhythm becomes a memory. The more your mind absorbs English through listening, the easier it becomes for you to think and speak automatically. Listening builds familiarity, and familiarity builds fluency. When your brain becomes comfortable with English sounds, speaking becomes smoother, faster, and more instinctive. Most learners listen passively. They play videos in the background while doing something else. They hear English, but they don't process it deeply. Passive listening helps with comfort, but not performance. If your goal is automatic speaking, you must shift from passive listening to active listening. Active listening rewires the brain. It creates deeper neural connections. It trains your unconscious mind to understand English as a natural sound, not a foreign code. Active listening is when you focus on rhythm, stress, intonation, emotional tone, and the music of English, not just the words. Every language has a melody. English is no different. But most learners never learn the melody. They memorize words, but they do not internalize the rhythm. They learn grammar rules, but they do not absorb intonation. This is why their speaking sounds unnatural. Fluency is not just grammar accuracy, fluency is rhythm, fluency is flow, fluency is sound patterns, and the best way to absorb these patterns is through listening and shadowing. Shadowing is one of the most powerful tools in language training. When you shadow, you listen to a voice and immediately repeat what you hear, almost like an echo. Your brain works at high speed. Your mouth reacts instantly. Your mind synchronizes with the speaker's rhythm. Shadowing activates every part of the language system simultaneously: the listening system, the speaking system, the rhythm system, and the thinking system. This is why shadowing accelerates fluency more than almost any other technique. When you shadow daily, your brain begins building automatic pathways. You learn how native speakers stress certain words. You learn how they reduce sounds. You learn where they pause. You learn the emotional tone behind sentences. These patterns become part of your internal English map. And when you speak on your own, your brain uses these patterns automatically. You speak with confidence, with rhythm, with clarity. You sound more natural without forcing yourself. Shadowing is not imitation, it is activation. But shadowing feels difficult at the beginning. You will feel slow. You will feel behind. You will feel frustrated. And that frustration is normal. It means your brain is working at full capacity. It means you're training your mind to respond faster. It means you're pushing your fluency muscle beyond its comfort zone. This is the same discomfort athletes feel when training, the same discomfort musicians feel when practicing, the same discomfort that leads to transformation. Do not run from this discomfort. Embrace it. It is a sign of growth. Start shadowing simple content, short videos, short audio clips, natural conversations, motivational speeches, calm narration. Do not begin with fast content. You will overwhelm yourself. Begin with voices that match your current speed and gradually increase difficulty. Your brain adapts quickly when you push it gently. Once shadowing becomes easier, you can move to more challenging material. Over time, your mind will handle speed effortlessly. This is the true meaning of automatic listening. Listening trains your ear. Shadowing trains your tongue. But there is one more element: predicting. Predictive listening is when your brain begins guessing what comes next in a sentence. Native speakers do this unconsciously. They predict the grammar, they predict the structure, they predict the rhythm. And because they predict, they understand faster. Your brain can learn this too. When you listen actively, try predicting the next word. Try predicting how the sentence will end. Try predicting what tone or emotion will come next. This small exercise trains your mind to think in English. Automatic speaking requires automatic hearing. When you listen deeply, your brain becomes faster at processing English. When you shadow repeatedly, your mind becomes faster at producing English. And when both systems work together, fluency becomes natural. You no longer feel like you are forcing the language. Your brain and voice begin working in harmony. This is when you feel the shift, the moment English stops being a study subject and becomes a skill. Listening also reduces fear. Many learners fear speaking because they fear not understanding responses. When you listen daily, your comprehension grows, your confidence grows, your ability to respond grows. You no longer fear conversations. You no longer fear fast speakers. You no longer fear misunderstanding. Listening gives you a foundation. Shadowing builds your expression. Together, they create unshakable confidence. To make listening powerful, choose meaningful content. Content that inspires you, motivates you, challenges you, connects with your emotions. The brain remembers what it feels, not what it memorizes. When you feel something while listening, the language sticks deeper. Listen to stories, listen to speeches, listen to conversations, listen to topics that matter to you. Your brain will absorb English naturally because it is connected to emotion. Make listening part of your daily routine. Listen while walking, listen while cooking, listen while traveling, listen during quiet moments. The goal is not perfection, it is exposure. Your brain needs English the way your body needs food. Feed it, nourish it, let it digest the sound of English every day. Even 10 minutes of deep listening can transform your fluency over time. Shadowing should be practiced with intention. Stand up, breathe deeply, play a short clip, pause after every sentence, repeat with energy, repeat with clarity, repeat with emotion. If needed, slow the audio. If it feels fast, don't worry. Your brain will adjust. What feels impossible today will feel natural soon. That is the magic of shadowing. It trains the brain faster than any traditional method. There is another powerful listening technique, micro shadowing. In micro shadowing, you repeat only 3 or 4 words at a time. This small repetition strengthens your timing. It trains your mind to respond quickly. It reduces hesitation, and it makes English rhythm feel natural. Micro shadowing is perfect for beginners and still powerful for advanced learners. Try it for 1 minute every day. Your fluency will grow faster than you expect. Listening is a mirror. It reflects what you need to learn. Shadowing is a bridge. It connects listening and speaking. Thinking in English is the engine. It keeps everything moving. When you combine these three, listening, shadowing, thinking, you become unstoppable. You transform your brain. You activate your voice. You unlock fluency that once felt impossible. Automatic English is not a dream. It is a process. It is a training. It is a habit. And your listening system plays a major role in that transformation. Let English enter your ears. Let it settle in your mind. Let it guide your rhythm and let it shape your voice. When your ears learn the language, your mouth follows. Keep listening, keep shadowing, keep activating your brain. Fluency is not far. It is already forming inside you. Segment 6. Break old mental patterns and rewire your brain for automatic English. Your brain is not only shaped by what you learn, it is also shaped by what you repeat. Every hesitation you feel in English today comes from an old mental pattern. A pattern built through years of silence, years of fear, years of translation, years of thinking you are not good enough. These patterns were not created in a single moment. They were created silently, little by little, until they became habits, and habits become identity. Not because they define you, but because they repeat themselves so often that your brain begins to believe them. To train your mind to speak English automatically, you must break these old patterns. You must silence the voice that tells you to wait. You must weaken the pathway that forces translation. You must remove the emotional block that slows your thoughts. And you must rebuild a new internal system, one that is faster, lighter, more confident, and more automatic. This transformation is not about forcing your brain. It is about teaching it a new way to respond. Old patterns are powerful but not permanent. They can be replaced, overwritten, dissolved. Your brain changes when you give it enough repetition, enough exposure, enough emotional momentum. The neural pathways that hold you back are not your destiny. They are only habits. And habits change when you decide to interrupt them, when you choose a new response, when you train your mind consistently, when you stop listening to fear and start listening to growth. Think about your hesitation for a moment. When someone asks you a question in English, your brain goes into defense mode. It scans for mistakes, it checks grammar, it tries to translate, it becomes cautious. That caution slows everything. It creates pressure, and pressure creates silence. This silence is not because you don't know English. It's because your brain is protecting you from embarrassment, judgment, or failure. But this protection is outdated. It belongs to the past. It is not serving your future. To break an old pattern, you must first understand it. Your hesitation is not about language. It is about fear. Fear of being wrong. Fear of sounding strange. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of being judged. But fluency does not grow in fear. It grows in freedom. And freedom begins when you stop obeying the fear inside your mind, when you speak anyway, when you let the words come out even if they are imperfect, when you allow yourself to grow in real time. Your brain rewires itself whenever you do something uncomfortable repeatedly. That discomfort is the sign of new pathways being formed. When you speak in English despite feeling uncertain, your brain learns this is safe. When you think in English even if it feels slow, your brain learns this is normal. When you shadow a voice even if you can't follow perfectly, your brain learns this is possible. Every uncomfortable English moment is actually a signal to your mind that change is happening. If you avoid speaking because it feels awkward, the old pattern grows stronger. Avoidance feeds hesitation. Silence feeds fear. Translation feeds slowness. But practice, even imperfect practice, weakens the old system. It creates cracks in the walls that hold you back. With enough pressure, the walls fall apart. Your brain begins replacing hesitation with speed, fear with confidence, silence with expression. This replacement is not instant, but it is inevitable if you continue. One of the strongest old patterns is perfectionism. Many learners want to speak perfectly before they speak at all, but perfectionism is the enemy of fluency. It freezes the mind, it prevents automatic thinking, it creates overthinking. You must break this pattern by embracing imperfection. Speak with mistakes, think with mistakes, practice with mistakes. Mistakes are not failures, they are signals that your brain is learning. The moment you stop fearing mistakes, your fluency rises instantly. Another harmful pattern is comparison. You compare yourself to native speakers. You compare yourself to fluent friends. You compare your beginning to someone else's middle. Comparison destroys confidence. It creates pressure, and pressure blocks fluency. Your brain cannot grow under comparison. You must break this pattern by focusing only on your own progress. Your goal is not to sound like someone else. Your goal is to be able to express yourself clearly, naturally, and confidently. Then there is the pattern of overthinking. Overthinking is the mind's attempt to avoid mistakes, but in avoiding mistakes, you avoid fluency. To break this pattern, you must practice speaking faster than your fear. Speak before your mind has time to criticize. Answer quickly. React immediately. Let your brain adapt to speed. The more you speak without overthinking, the more your mind learns that English does not require perfection. It requires flow. A powerful method for breaking old patterns is pattern interruption. Whenever your mind tries to translate, interrupt it. Whenever your brain hesitates, interrupt it. Whenever you feel fear rising, interrupt it. Replace the old response with a new action. If your mind says, wait, you speak anyway. If your brain says, translate, you form a simple English sentence instead. If fear says, stop, you whisper the sentence aloud. This interruption teaches your brain that the old patterns are no longer in control. Repetition strengthens pathways. Repetition also weakens pathways. The more you avoid the old pattern, the weaker it becomes. The more you practice the new pattern, the stronger it becomes. This is the essence of brain rewiring. Your mind is not static, it is elastic, it can stretch, it can shift, it can adapt. Your fluency is the result of the patterns you use the most. Use the right patterns, and fluency becomes inevitable. Your environment also influences your patterns. If you surround yourself with silence, your brain remains silent. If you surround yourself with English, your brain becomes active. Create an environment that reminds your brain daily of the new direction you want to take. Listen to English. Think in English, shadow English, read English, hear English, speak English. Let your life be filled with the sound of the language. Your brain will follow the environment. Confidence is not something you wait for. It is something you train. Confidence comes from repeated success, even small success. If you speak one sentence today, that is success. If you think in English for 30 seconds, that is success. If you shadow one short clip, that is success. Each success creates a mental reward. That reward builds confidence. Confidence becomes a pattern, and patterns create identity. Your brain becomes fluent when you train it the way it wants to be trained, slowly, repeatedly, emotionally, consistently. No pressure, no guilt, no punishment for mistakes, only practice, only activation, only growth. You are not fixing your English. You are strengthening your mind. You are not eliminating weaknesses. You are building automatic patterns. You are not learning like a student. You are rewiring yourself like a speaker. There is a moment in every learner's life when the mind shifts, when the brain stops resisting English, when sentences begin forming with less effort, when words come faster than before, when hesitation becomes weaker, when expression becomes easier. That moment is not magic, it is not luck. It is the result of breaking old patterns and creating new ones. You are closer to that moment than you think. Every time you practice, your brain listens. Every time you speak, your brain adapts. Every time you show up, your brain rewires itself. You're training your mind to become fluent. You're dissolving the old identity that held you back. You're creating a new system, one that responds without fear, without hesitation, without translation. And soon English will not be something you try to speak. It will be something you naturally express. Your brain is ready to change, and you are the one changing it. Segment 7. The automatic fluency transformation. There comes a moment in every learner's journey when the mind finally stops fighting. A moment when the brain no longer treats English as a foreign system. A moment when fear loses its power, hesitation loses its grip, and translation becomes a distant memory. This moment doesn't arrive suddenly. It arrives slowly, like sunrise. First a glow, then a soft light, then a full brightness that make everything clear. And you are closer to this moment than you think. You have already taken the steps. You have already done the training. You have already prepared the mind. Now it's time to complete the transformation, to turn everything you've learned into a lifelong habit. Your brain has changed more than you realize. It has adapted to shadowing. It has adjusted to daily activation. It has begun forming English thoughts. It has started responding with more confidence. You are no longer the same person who began this journey. You are not the student who was afraid to speak. You are not the person who doubted their voice. You are not the learner who hid behind silence. You have stepped into a new identity. You have stepped into the identity of someone who trains their mind, activates their voice, and grows through consistent practice. And that identity is the foundation of automatic fluency. Fluency is not a race, it is a rhythm, a daily rhythm that keeps your mind connected to the language. When you practice consistently, you create mental momentum. Momentum turns effort into instinct. Instinct turns practice into reaction. And reaction turns English into a natural part of your thinking system. Fluency becomes automatic when your brain stops treating English as something you do and begins treating it as something you are. You become a person who uses English, not someone who studies it. You become someone whose thoughts move freely, someone whose voice carries confidence, someone whose mind is open, unafraid, activated. Your brain learns languages in the same way it learns movement, music, or art, through repetition, emotion, and experience. Every time you practice speaking out loud, your mind stored the rhythm. Every time you shadowed, your brain matched the melody. Every time you thought in English, your neurons connected new pathways. This is the science of transformation. This is how the brain rewires itself. Nothing you have done in this journey has been wasted. Every second you practiced has become part of you. Now, you must protect this progress. You must build habits that keep your fluency alive, habits that keep your mind activated, habits that keep your voice strong, habits that keep your brain connected to English. These habits do not have to be long. They do not have to be complicated. They only need to be consistent. Think of English like a fire. If you light a flame and walk away, it dies. But if you add small sticks every day, the fire stays alive. Your brain is the same. Give it small, daily signals. Speak a sentence in the morning. Shadow 1 minute of audio. Think in English before bed. Narrate your actions while cooking. Describe your feelings while walking. Speak to yourself in the mirror. These small rituals become your long-term fluency system. Many learners believe fluency requires hours of study, but in reality, fluency requires patterns, not pressure. It requires daily activation, not heavy workload. If you keep the language alive inside your mind, your fluency will never fade. You will grow month after month, year after year, until speaking English feels as easy as breathing. There will be days when you feel tired, days when you feel slow, days when sentences don't come easily. This does not mean you are failing. This means your brain is adjusting. Growth is not a straight line. Fluency is not a perfect climb. Some days you run, some days you walk, but as long as you show up, you are winning. As long as you practice, you are rewiring. As long as you keep going, you are transforming. Remember this, your brain is always listening to how you speak to yourself. If you tell yourself, I'm not fluent, your brain believes you. If you say, I sound terrible, your mind tightens. But if you say, I am improving, your brain opens. If you say, I'm learning, your mind relaxes. If you say, I can do this, your brain responds with confidence. Your inner voice is part of your fluency training. Speak to yourself the way you want your English to sound: clear, kind, strong, confident. The person you are becoming is not someone who avoids English. It is someone who uses English. Maybe slowly, maybe imperfectly, maybe with mistakes, but consistently, bravely, actively. You are becoming a person whose mind can switch between languages without fear, a person who can express ideas clearly, a person who can communicate in any situation. You are becoming someone who carries confidence, not because of perfect grammar, but because of a trained mind. Fluency is not luck. Fluency is built. You are building it piece by piece, thought by thought, sentence by sentence. Your future self will look back at this moment and realize that this is where everything changed. This is where you stopped being afraid. This is where you took control. This is where you activated the English-speaking version of yourself. That person is already inside you. You are simply uncovering them. You deserve fluency. You deserve confidence. You deserve the freedom to express your thoughts clearly. And you have all the tools. You have the brain capable of change. You have the voice capable of strength. You have the mind capable of forming new pathways. And you have the discipline to practice. Everything you need is already within you. This journey does not end here. It continues every day you use your voice. Every day you challenge your mind. Every day you choose growth over fear. Fluency is not a destination. It is a lifestyle, a mental lifestyle, a voice lifestyle, a daily commitment to becoming the version of yourself who speaks boldly, thinks clearly, and responds automatically. And now, as you reach the end of this session, take a moment to appreciate how far you've come. You have trained your mind, you have activated your voice, you have broken old patterns, you have rewired your brain, you have grown in strength, clarity, and confidence. This is not the end. This is the beginning of your fluent life. Before the final closing message, if this journey helped you, inspired you, or made your English stronger, please like the video, comment your progress, and subscribe to the channel so this community can grow with you. Now take a deep breath, feel your progress, feel the new pathways inside your brain, feel the confidence rising quietly, steadily, powerfully. English is no longer something outside of you. It is something inside you, alive, growing, transforming. And from this moment on, your mind knows how to speak English automatically. Your voice knows how to express itself clearly. Your confidence knows how to rise. Your journey continues, and you are ready.